quietly gauging rival teams' interest in a trade for all-star Zach Lavine. So the Chicago Bulls appeared to be in the process of at least trying to see what can they do in a potential rebuild. Right? This is something that we've talked about before on this channel. It's something that I believe that they should have done at the previous trade deadline. I didn't think that they were going to go anywhere this past season. They didn't go anywhere this past season. I think that this whole experiment hasn't really worked. The whole idea was that like Lonzo would be the kind of glue guy that would kind of set everything up so it wouldn't be as clunky as it is at times in Chicago, but it looks like Lonzo Ball may potentially never even play another game again for the Chicago Bulls or period. And so it makes sense you start looking to make some moves. Nikola Vucevic, he's very likely going to leave that roster. Do you just kind of replace him some way and try to retool, or maybe just ride it with Andre Drummond? That could be a possibility. Or do you just say, hey, let's start unloading and begin this rebuild process, which is what I think Chicago should do. And it looks like Chicago is potentially leaning towards that idea, because if they're going to trade Zach Lavine, very likely they're going to rebuild, right? Because they're going to end up looking for a package that nets Zach Lavine some young assets, some young talent, some draft picks. Now, the Lakers, I would love, and I'm sure everybody watching this would love Zach Lavine on the Lakers. Realistically, we're not going to get Zach Lavine. We don't have the assets to go and acquire a guy like Zach Lavine, especially when teams like the New York Knicks have publicly made it known. Even reports came out at the trade deadline that if Zach Lavine became available, that they would offer a Godfather package, I believe was the deal, or was the terminology that was used for that. And we just can't outbid a team like the Knicks that have basically so many assets falling out. They have a bunch of young talent. Would they move like an RJ Barrett and a Grimes and a couple first-round picks to go get Zach Lavine? Possibly. Right? They really want a guy like Zach Lavine. They were willing to throw, the kitchen sink at a guy like Donovan Mitchell. They may say, okay, well, we missed out on Donovan Mitchell. Let's go get Zach Lavine. Plus the Knicks, they were just in the second round. So I think if he goes anywhere, it's probably the New York Knicks, because I think the Knicks have the assets and the youth and everything that they need and can outbid most of the teams in the league. And I think the other teams that could compete and bid with the New York Knicks, I just think that they aren't going to really want to go all in on a Zach Lavine. Teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder, maybe the Spurs would, right? Maybe the Spurs would throw some pieces at it, try to go get a Zach Lavine to pair with a Victor Wembanyama. That could be a possibility, but I think very likely Zach Lavine goes to the Knicks. It's at least my guess, my early projection, and I do think Chicago's very likely going to start unloading guys. If they trade Zach Lavine, then I think that they just open the floodgates and they say, hey, you can go and trade whoever you want. And that's where I think DeMar DeRozan comes in. And this is where I believe that the Lakers can come in. I even made a video like a week ago saying that keep an eye on DeMar DeRozan, that I think DeMar DeRozan is the most realistic target for the Lakers that the Lakers could acquire. We know DeMar DeRozan wants to go to the Lakers. I think DeMar DeRozan's market would be pretty slim, and also the return. DeMar DeRozan's contract, though, is actually really good, right? A lot of talk about like guys like Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard, I just don't believe the Lakers would be able to get him. I think that, if Portland has the option to trade him to like a Miami or the Lakers, even if the Lakers could give a better package than, say, a Miami, I think they would still trade him to Miami just to say, like, okay, we don't have to see him now 4 times a year. We don't have to see him win a championship on our rival Lakers. I just think Damian Lillard at this point is kind of out of the picture. Kyrie Irving, as much as I would love Kyrie, as much as many others would love Kyrie Irving, it's just he hard caps us. And it just makes no sense for the Lakers to do that, because now you're just in a really tough bind and you have to put a team together beyond just a Kyrie, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. And I think a DeMar DeRozan, he lines up perfectly with LeBron and Anthony Davis's timeline, so you still can maintain flexibility. If it goes great, you can kind of maybe re-sign him, although he is kind of getting up there in years. And I do think DeMar gives the Lakers a guy who can close down the stretch, be a reliable scorer. That's the one thing that he is really good at, is being a scorer. He was, not this year, but the previous year, he was the most clutch player in the league. So this is a guy that can, on a nightly basis, close out games down the stretch, hit big shots. He's not afraid of the moment. He still has a couple years left in the gas tank, which is good. You're trying to make a push and go all in right now at this point, right? That's what the Lakers would be doing. You probably could get DeMar DeRozan on the cheap. I don't see him being a fortune. He has been a consistent, healthy guy. I mean, he played 76 games 2 years ago, 74 games last year. I mean, every year he's played basically 70 plus games, which is what you're going to need with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. A guy that can play game in and game out, because you know LeBron and AD are going to miss 30 plus games a year. And so if you could have a guy like DeMar DeRozan where, you know, he's going to only miss a handful of games over the course of a season, and you hopefully always have a DeMar and AD or a DeMar and LeBron James. This is a guy that is basically a 25-5-5 guy. Right? Like, this is a guy that's got good size, can operate knockdown in the mid-range, play multiple positions. He's even played power forward for Chicago on several occasions, so you could kind of basically play him 2 through 4. That is something of value too, the flexibility of him as a player. He's an upgrade over like a D'Angelo Russell. You might even be able to keep D'Lo, in all honesty, because Chicago, very, very likely what would happen with DeMar DeRozan is they're not going to want D'Angelo Russell because they're not going to want the long-term salary. It would be more of like, just give us the picks. So it would be probably my guess, if the Lakers were to acquire DeMar DeRozan, it would be something like a Malik Beasley, Mo Bamba, and the 17th plus maybe the 2029 pick, right? Something like that, I think would be able to get DeMar DeRozan. Would you not have to give up the 2029 pick? That would be nice. Could you do like the same players, the 17th pick plus like 3 or 4 second round picks, right? That could be something like, but regardless, I don't think it comes down to what is the market for DeMar as well. If the Lakers are kind of like the only game in town, and DeMar, who wanted to be a Laker, he's been public about being a Laker. He thought he was going to be a Laker before he went to Chicago. He would love to go to the Lakers and compete for an NBA championship, and I think that he could be a piece that could really contribute to that. I could see the Lakers landing him. I just think DeMar DeRozan, and I said this again a week ago, is the most likely scenario for the Lakers. I think he is the most likely, third star that the Lakers could bring in. And with his salary and with his ability to just be traded rather than sign and trade, the Lakers keep all their flexibility. So the Lakers basically can keep their entire roster, and all you're doing is just basically turning 2 guys that you didn't even play into DeMar DeRozan. And you could still keep D'Lo, you could still keep Reeves, or you could look to move D'Lo, right? Maybe you work out a sign and trade in that regard, or you bring Austin Reeves off the bench or something like that if you have to. It gives the Lakers a lot of flexibility with the acquisition of DeMar DeRozan. You'd still be able to keep like your tax pyramid level. You'd still be able to keep basically everything. DeMar DeRozan is probably the only star out there that the Lakers could acquire and not lose the current flexibility, right? Like, that's realistically. And it's going to come down to very likely the Chicago Bulls trading Zach Lavine. If they decide to keep Lavine, then they might end up keeping DeMar. But I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if, even if they do keep Lavine, they do move off of DeMar DeRozan, right? Because what they have going on right now in Chicago, it just isn't working, and it's not going to change. Could the Lakers, would you give up your, the 29th pick also, So let's say something like let's say because what you could do is you could say, okay, we'll give you D'Lo, but we'll just sign him to a 1-year deal, so you're not locked into him long term, right? So maybe you could go D'Lo and Mo Bamba, or D'Lo and Beasley and Bamba, and maybe get several pieces, right? Like that could be a possibility, and maybe you give up the second pick. Like, could you get, say, DeMar DeRozan? Could you get everyone's favorite Alex Caruso and maybe like Andre Drummond, right? And say, hey, we'll take all three of these guys because Andre Drummond has a player option, right? And then you have Andre Drummond as like your backup center for Anthony Davis insurance. You get Alex Caruso, who provides you another 3-and-D type player, and then you get DeMar DeRozan as well. That could be something, right? Would the Lakers be able to work out a deal like that? I think that may end up being one of the most realistic trade scenarios as far as like getting another like haul package. But even if you just went and got DeMar DeRozan, I wouldn't hate it. Now, there is a bit of concern about fit, right? Because DeMar DeRozan isn't a three-point shooter. He's pretty much just, look, this is a guy that can absolutely get a bucket, right? This is a guy that is, he's averaging 25 a game on basically nothing but 2-pointers. He takes 2 3-point attempts per game. 2. Now, he can knock down threes occasionally, but he's not really a 3-point guy. He is pretty much mid-range, generating his shots, going and getting buckets, right? He shoots 50% from the field the last 2. He has had an exact identical. You want to talk about consistency? He shot 50.4% 2 years ago and 50.4% last year. So this guy is a 50% field goal shooter. This is a guy, good free throw shooter, can draw contact, get to the foul line. And again, he's a 25, 5, and 5 guy. He's a guy that can make plays, take some pressure off of LeBron for playmaking and stuff, a guy that can close down the stretch, a guy that can hit big shots, a guy who was the most clutch, was leading the league in game winners and stuff like that just 2 seasons ago. And I think that if the Lakers can acquire him, I think you do it. The fact that they're shopping Zach Lavine is a pretty good sign. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think that that we could land DeMar DeRozan? Do you want to land DeMar DeRozan? Would you rather do a package of like DeMar DeRozan, DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, and like an Andre Drummond, or maybe could you even get like Nikola Vucevic? Like that could be kind of cool. Where maybe you just because I believe he can opt in. Like there's flexibility there. But again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know.